What is up, people of YouTube? I'm not going to talk much. I'm getting over a cold, so I don't really have my throat's sore. It hurts to talk. But we're going to weld out this bed, the frame, the skirting. The hitch is already done. I'm going to weld out the frame, the skirting, probably do the decking, and then I'll probably go in and have lunch, come back out, do the rub rails and the headache rack, and then probably the trim around the gooseneck trap door. Do that, and then we'll have another one that's ready to shoot out to paint, and then we can get it back and put all the electrical on. So just stay tuned, watch, and we're gonna start welding this bad boy out. The frame is just tacked, so that's gonna be the first thing I weld out, and then I'll move out and I'll do the skirting. And then once all that's done, we'll put the first sheeting of decking on, and then we'll put the second sheeting of decking on. So here we go. So, after this, what we've got coming down the pipeline, I always like to make sure the tip on the gun's good and clean before I start this. What we got coming down the pipeline after this is we have, for sure, 2 more flatbeds, potential of 4 more. One guy, he ordered 1. He wants 2. He's just starting with 1 right now, so we'll see if he ends up going with 2, or if he just wants to hold off and do 1 for right now. And then the second one, we've quoted, and he's kind of getting the truck ready so we can come out and do measurements. I like to go out and do measurements on trucks when we're doing custom beds, just to make sure it's an easy fit, so when they go to install them, there's no surprises. Then we also have a horizontal smoker and a vertical smoker to build. So we're very busy, very, very busy. So let's start welding this thing out. funny. It's funny, those of you who maybe have been following along, the last bed we built was for a dually. So long bed, obviously, 9 foot long, 8 foot wide, and it seemed giant. And now I'm back onto the short bed builds. The next 3 are all short bed builds. They seem so tiny, and it's that much faster. I mean, because it's 2 foot shorter and 2 foot narrower, so it saves a lot of time. Right? Glove. Yeah, dang. That was warm. pretty burnt. I used to try to be pretty stingy when it came to tips. Now, not so much. It doesn't help. The liner in this welder, in this cable is, I think over a year old now. And with as much as I weld, I think it's probably due for a new one. Because I'm noticing if it, you always want to give them a resistance path, but when they're new, if it coils like that, it doesn't have a problem putting the wire through it. But now if I coil like this and I try to weld, I can't get the wire to feed through it. So I would say it is probably time for a new one. And I bought a new one, and it was the wrong one. So I sent it back, went back, double checked, went to order a new one again, and their product number or SKU number or whatever it is called brought up the one I had just returned. So evidently they've changed the model number or code number on it, so I just haven't taken the time to sit down and get the measurements and get myself a new right one ordered. It's kind of a common trend when you get super busy, you start neglecting the little things like that, then them little things build up, and it'd probably save me time if I had the new one. there. 26 minutes. What is going on here? You guys kind of fell over a little bit. All right. Let's answer a few questions. We have some. I don't really know how much the truck beds weigh. That's been something I've been meaning to actually get a definite answer on. I need to figure it out because it's pretty much half a plate of 7 gauge, 2 full plates of 4x8 tread plate or diamond plate or floor plate, whatever you want to call it. The short beds are like 3 sticks of 3-inch C-channel and 1 stick of 4-inch C-channel. So you can figure it out with the hitch on there. I mean, that's 1/2-inch plate, so that's actually more even yet, but so I don't know off the top of my head exactly how much they weigh. They're not light, but they're not like ungodly heavy, I guess. It's cold out here. I'm like disappointed. My wife knocked on the door because the dog, he was out back, and with the 1-year-old, she wasn't going to go out there and call him. So I went out there and called him. We don't really do anything out back this time of year, but we do tons of stuff out back there all summer. So he's used to, that's his territory. So I had to go grab him. But yeah, as far as how much they weigh, I'm not sure. I should figure it out though, because I'm curious to know also. But I'm a little disappointed because when I looked at my phone and I started it live, I thought it was noon. Hey, thank you, Jacob. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I know in the spring we'll be able to make a lot more content, but as for right now, this is the best we're doing. Yeah, in the spring we have a guy starting full time, and that's one of the things that he's going to be doing is actually kind of being behind the camera. Sometimes I'll be behind the camera, sometimes he'll be behind the camera, sometimes the camera won't be rolling because we'll just be working. But it's one thing I'm definitely excited for, to have a little extra hands out here. So now I'm going to dig out. Here is the fun and the not fun part about doing multiple projects at a time. Right now we have like 4 projects going. Is you just got crap everywhere. So I'm going to dig out the top plate for this that I already know we have cut out. Then I'm going to dig out the top plate and the back plate. Get them both put on. We'll get those put up today. And then we'll kind of keep going from there. If you're not subscribed, why don't you guys subscribe to the channel real quick. We try to at least do a live once a week, and I try to post at least 2 videos a week, whether they're just shorts. Sometimes we'll do a bunch of shorts in a week. Sometimes we'll try to do 2 long format videos. It's a try thing. It doesn't always happen. But, I believe next week we'll probably have Zane back. So we'll probably do another live and a podcast. I don't know if we'll do one of each or just do a long live, but it is just us BSing, but they're kind of fun. This bed is getting painted. Excuse me. This bed's getting painted. In my price, that comes with paint. You can upcharge to powder coat. I do send them out to get blasted first. We have a friend who does sandblasting, so it will go to him, get blasted. Then we'll come back here. I seal off the draft in the shop, get it about 90 degrees in here. Well, actually, that's not true. I get it 70 degrees in here, paint it, and then before I walk out the door, crank it up to about 90. So the paint dries. It seems to work. It's just it's a hassle because I have to throw tarps up on everything and all that good stuff. It's why I don't record painting, because the paint just gets all over the camera and stuff. So you guys don't see that, but yeah, it's a mess. I would actually, our friend who does the sandblasting, I'm trying to convince him into getting into powder coating too, and he's kind of on the fence about spending the money to get into it. But I'm almost to the point where, like, I will build the booth if you'll just sandblast them and powder coat them there. If we can work it in and keep the same price point for a better product, or even a little more price point for a better product, I'm 100% willing to do it. Especially because that would cut off excuse me, that would cut off a lot of labor on my end, is having them powder coated somewhere else. So yeah, I've done a lot of wire wheeling. I've never really done any sandblasting. So I don't know how that works. At one point, I did really look into adding sandblasting to the welding, and kind of wish I would have, just because it'd be nice now. We could do that in-house and make a little more money, but he does give me a really, really good deal on them. But I also give him a lot to sandblast, so it does kind of balance out, I guess. This is a sheet of 14 gauge. Last week, or no, beginning of this week, I was installing the bed on the on that 99 Ram. Oh, what'd you say, Jacob? Yeah, I used to have one of the Harbor Freight ones, and I thought it worked out pretty good, but I mean, it wasn't like it would take forever to do this thing. My buddy has a very big one. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, yes. Yeah, I think it was Monday. Monday morning, I woke up. I was coming down with this cold, and you could just tell, like, man, this is worst case scenario all over the place, because I already had a cold. It was raining all day. It was windy. It was miserable. And I had to install the bed on that 99 Ram. So I got the bed on, and then I actually backed the truck in here to get out of the rain as much as possible. And we have to set it on with our overhead gantry outside, which that only takes, you know, if it's going bad, it takes an hour. But man, just being out, just being soaked, that's part of the reason I'm using, these are actually they were my nice gloves. You know, that I always like to keep a nice pair of gloves, but my welding gloves are just soaked. They're sitting somewhere right now, just soaked. I had 3 layers of clothes on. I was soaked all the way through, just shivering. I had this cold. Oh, it was nasty. But yeah, so anyways, that wasn't real fun. So now my shop's just kind of destroyed, because I kind of just was throwing stuff places just to get that big old truck in here. Which, at the end of the day, it worked out good. You know, that's a 9-foot bed, 8 foot wide. We're quoting one right now that's 11 or 12 feet long and 8 feet wide. So to get that one in here, that would be a chore, but it's what we do, I guess. But so today's kind of an organized and clean kind of as we go. Where did I put my headphones? My earbuds in my pocket. And sometimes that's how it goes a lot, but that's all right. Yeah, that 14 gauge, we're gonna build charcoal chimneys out of that, and then we're gonna build, of course, we have 2 new smokers already on order. And I think those are going to be really kind of a good deal. I think people are going to like those, so I'm excited to get that one done. I'm thinking about adding more barbecue content to the channel, so tell me if you guys think that's something that would be fun to watch, or if you're not really that interested. Whew. The big thing is, every time we sell a smoker, we almost always get asked for videos of them being used. And I just don't have any videos of them being used, so I'm just trying to curve that edge. If people are asking, that means they want it, so. And it might bring more viewership to the channel, which would be good. I always stick weld these the gooseneck hitches on the beds versus just doing like a solid wire MIG. I just have more faith in the 7018. It's 1/2 inch plate, reinforced the front and the back with 3/8 or 3-inch C-channel and one strip going across the bottom. And then it gets welded to the 4-inch C-channel sill. I think it makes for a pretty strong design. But I'm going back and forth on if we're going to continue with this design or if we're going to move on to something else. I think we're going to move on to something else. Of course, something better. All right. Easy peasy. Not really super easy, but it's on there. Oh, you know what? Whew. I just feel cold. I feel cold all over the place. Whew. So we get this one in place. We'll get it all welded in, and then we'll fasten the back one. Actually, Good right there. It's cold, folks. It is very cold. And I'm kind of a wuss in the sense that, well, I don't really like being cold. So it's tacked. We'll put the back one on, and then we'll, that one needs to be trimmed yet, but we'll get the back one put on, and then once everything's trimmed and whatnot, we'll just weld it all out in one. I don't know, this gap is a little bit bigger than what I normally like to run. I forgot this sheet in the program is wrong. It's actually just a little bit short. So it's not a big deal. We'll get it. It's weldable for sure. It's just not as easy as a weld. But yeah, and then of course we got to crawl under it. But before we crawl under it, I'm gonna get the floor swept. So I'm not crawling over that stuff. Drew, hey, how you doing? Welcome. We're making a flatbed for. This is going on a 2019 Ford F350 short bed single rear wheel. Excuse me. And I've got a cold, so we're just having tons of fun out here. But yeah, that's what it's going on. So thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. And let's keep building this thing. out. So I'm not speaking over it. There is a few ways that we could go about this. We could pull all the measurements and mark it out on the plate. But what I've found that works just as good is just put the plate on and mark it where it needs to be on the bed. Especially, I don't have tons of out here, so it does make it easier on me to just put the bed in place, or put the sheet together. Instead of trying to have to converse it all and all that stuff. That looks like a good fit up. That looks like a good fit up. So, I'll take my soapstone now. And I just mark right where our recess starts to go. Now, I could, because they are similar enough each and every time, I could make it to where I could cut these out on the plasma table, and I'll do that eventually. If you've been watching for a while, though, you know that I've actually been playing and changing the design kind of as we go, and I'm getting to the point where the design is pretty much set in stone. And you know what I didn't do? I did not measure from the nose to the back to see exactly where we are to know where to snap this line. So I guess I gotta move the sheet. I could do that. We only have a excuse me. We only have a 4x8 table. So we should be, and we are exactly 7 feet, which is good. That's exactly what we want to be. And the reason we take that measurement is so now, let's slide this sheet back where it goes. And I already have 2 of my recess lines lined up, so it'll be easy to make sure we get put back in the exact place. Don't let me forget my ground clamp. Big dog. Sure, counting on you. YouTube people. Okay. Our lines are all marked up, and we're exactly 7 feet. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my tape from the nose, and I'm going to measure 7 feet. Now I'll come over yonder, and I do the same thing. Measure 7 feet. Drop. dandy square. Gosh, that cut isn't that square, so let's just see here. We're 13 and no, we're 12 and 7/8, or 7. Excuse me, we are 12 and 7/16. So I'm just gonna make a mark there, 12 7/16. Just line it up just like there's a straight edge. Which there's no way that's right. Math is hard. So basically all I'm doing is just kind of lining everything up because this sheet's been ripped down with the circular saw. And it's not exactly square. So that's all we did. That's all we did. So now I'll get the saw, rip that down. Just to warn everybody, it is outrageously loud, so prepare your ears. It's kind of why I moved to bandsaws, because they're just, this thing's so dang loud, and I don't want to listen to it anymore. So it's beautiful cut, great cut quality. It's just, it's loud. Pull it away a little bit. And I'll go ahead and show you guys my trick for ripping down these sheets with just one person. Pretty simple. I don't know. Probably seen other people do it. I'm sure I'm not the first one. I always line up my eye with my line and then make sure everything underneath is clear, which we are. The other thing we're going to need is a nice, good, and strong clamp. We'll get about halfway through the sheet. When you get halfway this sheet, it will start bending down, and it can actually bend down this way and put a little pinch on our saw blade. So I'm going to show you how I avoid that. Get our face shield. So now it's starting to dip down. I'm just going to bring it back up to where it was. And I'll put a clamp on it. That will hold this end up, so during the rest of our cut, it doesn't become an issue. But very important tip. If you noticed, I kept both hands on the saw, released the trigger, and I didn't take my hands off until that blade had 100% stopped. You don't want to let go and then it binds and throws up at you. I pull it back an inch or two, so then when I start it up again, I have to come back up to where I was cutting. Before I take my hand off. And then I like using these clamps because I can eventually, come on, I can kind of wiggle the sheet out of there. There. Now I have this fun little drop, which can go right next to its twin there. We're probably, well, for right now, it's going to go back here. I always try to be creative with drops like that. That being said, they're just so small I haven't figured out what to do with them yet. So those kind of drops, I kind of just get set aside for a little bit. Sometimes I just scrap them. So I always hate scrapping those things because, man, you don't really get much of any of your money out of scrap versus if I could make something out of them. But sometimes enough's enough, and you gotta just get stuff out of your shop. So, okay, so that mark lines up good, and this mark lines up good. So now, what we do, we get our soapstone, we're gonna sharpen it. Everybody is always particular, it seems, about soapstone. I don't really get why. Some people like the really thin ones. I like these ones. They're probably like a 1/4 inch round. And I just take, I think this is 100 grit, 150 grit sandpaper. I had like one piece of sandpaper lasts a long time. And I'll just sharpen me up a point, just like that. And then when I'm I use the sharp point when I go to describe a line, but then I'll flip it. This is why I like these ones. I'll flip it over because we mark everything. So like when we're cutting down C channel for jobs, we'll give the job number and we'll write one of whatever. So I can mark the fine line with the sharpened end, and then I can go one of blah 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 with the other end. Now you just gotta flip it back and forth, and that's why I like these. They're cheap. You can get the holders for them. I don't know. I always lose the holders or they wear out. And these, if you drop them or whatever, they don't always break. Sometimes they do, but they don't always. just like I just said. Take the sharpened side, mark it, and I'm just connecting our two bullet points here. Yes, like that. Okay, now we can pull it off. Cut these sides. And this sheet's ready to go on. That fired back up. Bit. Looks like it's gonna be good. Oh yeah, it'll be beautiful. We're good connect there. Good. Good. We're good all the way around. Now there is some people who will argue how to weld these out, and like everybody with differing opinions, yours is always the best, and you know, whether it is or isn't. Some people will say tack it and then crawl underneath and stitch weld everything. I don't do that. I weld everything out all the way around, then I crawl underneath and stitch weld it. So, to me, it's just the easiest way to do it. So, that's what we're going to do. So, we'll tacked all the way around. Now I'll start here, and I'll weld all the way around it. I guess you guys really weren't in frame, or I wasn't in frame. So there. That's better. So all I'm doing is we got a little bit bigger of a gap than we like. I'm just tacking it. Then I just kind of take a hammer and very hot. Close that gap up just a little bit. I mean, we're probably talking less than a 16. Just make it so that my that's an easier time. Closing that gap. What I don't want to sacrifice is my straight line look, and we look pretty good. Sometimes if you do that, come back through the grinder and kind of smooth out the line, kind of straighten it out, but honestly, we look pretty good. I can't get over how small this thing looks. My baby. doo. Hey, almost halfway there. Well, I guess that's my duty cycle. Clean the tip off. Alright, so far, so good. I think we'll get this side welded out and then we'll break for a very late lunch. Then we'll come out, weld the underside. Excuse me. Weld the underside. Let's see, weld the underside, build the headache rack, build the stake baskets and rub rails. And it will be done. Oh, and weld out the trapdoor trim. And then it will be done. So I'm gonna get the floor swept while I got a minute waiting for that thing to get ready to weld again. I need to build a smaller cart. I think this one's really great for like when we do 12-foot beds, but when we do short beds, obviously it's not so great. What do we think, people? We're ready to weld again. That was my wife leaving. So that's gonna pretty much be it for this live. Got it welded. After lunch, I'll come back. I'll weld the underneath. I do have to draw up something to hold this light bar in. This was a request, which is pretty common on these, is a light bar. So I'm not absolutely sure how I'm going to do it yet. Generally, I like the ones that mount from the sides, because then it's easy to just drop plate. But, and I thought these ones did it. They don't. They won't. So I'm gonna have to look into that, but I'm sure we can figure out how to make it happen. So let's run over here and get our flash drive. As you can see, you don't really get a lot of bubbling or warpage or anything, which is, I mean, obviously that's good, but that's what some people's concern is with doing it this way, welding the outside first and then tacking the inside later. But I haven't had any problems with it. Looks nice and flat. Everything's good and true. When we weld it, it will kind of take care of some of that rattle. So let's go make that happen, and then we'll come back and we need to bend, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 stake pockets. So we'll probably do the decking, the stake pockets, and then the headache rack, and then we'll trim out the gooseneck receiver, and then it's ready to go. So, all right, guys, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Helps us out, helps us grow, and let us know what you thought of this video, so if we know if we should make more like it or not. So